Hello everyone and welcome to an episode on Pi Revolution. So on this tutorial we're going to cover some Python basics. I've been getting a lot of requests for people to cover some Python 101, so I'll cover that request in this video series. Now as you can see here, we start off every programming language with the basic hello world. So here's hello world. So print hello world. So there you go. We got our basic string. You basically do print parentheses and then you write the string in quotations. Next is how to make a variable. So we have our variable named variable and we're going to pass our value 10 onto this variable. And our variable is now equal to 10. And we can do the same thing. We have a variable called myInt equals 7, my float equals 1.23, my bool equals true, and my string equal cats. So what I covered over here are the basic Python data types. Int is basically a number without a decimal. Float has a decimal point. And bool is basically true, false, and strings are alpha characters within the strings. And if I press this, I've stored them to memory, and let me print them out. So over here I just printed out all my variables, same way I printed out my hello world string up here. Now that you know about some basic variables, let's look at some basic math. So without any decimals, I try to add up two integers, and our answer is an integer 2. Add an integer and a float, so one is an integer, 1.0, since it's a decimal point, it's a float. Our final result is changed into a float. Now let's see what happens when we divide 3 by 2. So basic convention in some languages, you'll get a 1 because we are trying to divide an int with an int, so our value should be an int. So let's see what happens. Well, what do you know? Python's actually smart enough to change our data types. So since we have a remainder, Python actually converted our final result into a float, even though we are dividing an integer with another integer. We can multiply, and multiplication is done using the star sign. So 3 2s are 6, and if you put 2 stars, then it's a power, so 2 to the power 3 is 8. Final math operation is modulo, which is done by percentage sign, which basically means the remainder. So 3 divided by 2, 2 goes to 3 one times, and our remainder is a 1. And hence we have a modulo of 1. And finally, we're going to cover comments. So comments are very useful, and comments are basically statements that you put all over your code, but they won't be executed. And it's just to tell you reminders about what your code does and everything. So here's a basic comment. This is a comment. I run it, absolutely nothing happens. Over here I have a math operation, 2 plus 4.0, and I add a comment here adding an int with a float. So only this part gets executed. Anything after this hash sign, which helps us declare our comment, doesn't get executed. Finally, if we have a multi-line comment, we use 3 quotations, and if we enter, and here's our comment. So that's it for this tutorial. Next tutorial we're going to cover string manipulations. So till then, have a nice day.